So if we have the information before it's released, we can do the grounding and then...
I'll figure that out.
Okay.
So good.
Thanks.
Nice to see you.
Which are the states where the political will of the people has forced governments to make this an election issue? We're going into 4 elections this year: Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Delhi. How can we make this an issue? How can we make food an issue?
Well, Tamil Nadu is the example that is most cited,
how did food become?
And
if we go to the genesis, because we all know that the DMK first did this 2 rupee a kilo of rice scheme, and now Jayalalitha, the AIDMK, has made it 0 rupees for rice. And midday meals as being part of the distribution has actually been a focus of politics between the DMK and the AIDMK for
very,
very
long,
long,
egg and
from
2 eggs,
from MGR's time onwards. Now, since it has a history, what I want to understand is where did it come from in the first place, and why is it that, say, Bihar hasn't done something like that?
Well, obviously it started off as a populist measure, this 2 rupee a kilo rice thing. But then because it probably gained, it was a populist measure, it got that response, and so it's smart politics that they recognize the value of it. So it is to me a complete. I don't understand why other politicians don't.
But smart
decide
politics
to use it.
Has not translated into smart politics in, say, Bihar.
In the food bill, the idea of community kitchens for urban migrants and so on. They dropped it from the bill, but Jayalalitha has started something. You can get it, 1 rupee, 2 rupee.
Yes, the Amma canteens.
And Amma canteens. They're supposed to be fabulous.
In Chennai and now going to go to other places where you get idlis for 1 rupee a plate and dosas for 2 rupees a plate.
In about 2 or 3 rupees, you can have a full stomach.
Yes.
It's such a boom.
It's the concept of providing hot cooked meals to adults who are working.
And in Brazil, Brazil soup kitchens have been a very major part of their program.
It's easier, to just use the caste card. You don't have to think, you don't have to make strategies, you don't have to allocate budget, you don't have to go out there and see what's going to work, try to make it work. It's just easier to use the caste card.
I see a very good development in food, for instance, Chhattisgarh. I worked in Chhattisgarh when I was in the IAS 10 years earlier. And if somebody told me that Chhattisgarh would be the sort of poster
you would never believe it.
I'd say you're stark, raving mad.
But now it
cannot
is.
Be. It is because
it has now become the chief minister's plan for the coming election.
It had a leadership
for the last couple of elections,
which sorted out. The solutions were there. The same bureaucracy delivered.
How did it start? What was the genesis in Chhattisgarh, and how can other state governments put that on the map? How can Delhi put it on the map? How can Rajasthan put it on the map, which is going to elections?
I think, and even under YSR, Andhra Pradesh really picked up its programs, etc. So there was a political will. I won't mention the states, but a story is told. It's apocryphal or whatever, but it's an interesting story. They say that Chief Minister X said that there are 2 kinds of departments. One is a vote department, one is a note department. Okay, and they identified, the programs like the PDS and so on, the midday meals, as vote departments, and they said no corruption, high delivery, high quality delivery, but they didn't. They had the whole range of vote departments as well. I think that's somewhere where we are transitioning, and maybe if we can get more and more vote departments and less of note departments, where governments start recognizing that to get elected, you need to deliver to the poor on certain clear kinds of programs. I think that has begun to happen. I see this big change over the last 10 years or so. I was, Amartya Sen and Rodriguez were releasing their book last night, and they were talking about the positive change. It set me thinking a lot.
But also in Tamil Nadu, but let's not forget that in a sense those positive studies are also there are positive cases even in a government program, not just in the elite schools.
So but
see, for instance, Rajasthan, if you were to take the case, the Rajasthan government has basically been pushing the private sector in public service delivery everywhere, because for
including in midday meals.
Absolutely. So that is why there you have only private delivery. They've pretty much outsourced all of it to the private sector, and they've tried to outsource schools also to the private sector. The last governments sort of very much was their policy to do that, and there is, I guess, a return on that for politicians in some way, which there isn't on regular government programs. So they have an incentive to be able to do that, and they feel that they can get the votes some other way. So it's a win-win in that sense. You get your private benefit and you get your votes, and so why should you? So you can have politicians who actually, and that's perhaps what's happening in many of these other places, whereas in so you do need to have a shift somewhere, and perhaps more pressure from the ground, people to not vote for politicians who are unable to deliver on public service.
How do you react to that, Ushnor? Because politics in this country, as you know, is so complicated and driven by things which have nothing to do with the real development indices.
I mean, take for example Tamil Nadu itself. If you're talking about food in Tamil Nadu, I mean, just before elections, I doubt whether Jayalalitha used these examples to go and get votes. I mean, you heard all kinds of stories about, because I was in Chennai at that time.
Tamil chauvinism, etc.
So she was distributing sewing machines, someone else started distributing mixies, so she said television sets. Yeah. So it went on like this between
but that's in the run up to the election. But the fact is that the reason that the state has turned around in food has somewhere to do with its food politics also, right? Because people do have a memory going back just beyond the previous 1 or 2 months. So if Nitish Kumar's ratings go down in Bihar, it won't have to do only with what happens in the election year. It'll have to do with all of this as well.
Yeah. But also in Tamil Nadu, they've sorted it out in a sense. So now she can't think of anything else, so she's distributing. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's put in place. They have a whole separate midday meal bureaucracy which is monitored from bottom to the top. I mean, they have a midday meal section in the school, so they have a separate nodal officer at the school level who's in charge of midday meal management. Every school, and it builds up. So that to procure the grains, make sure the grains reach on time, to make sure the cooking is done, all the cooking the supplies, other supplies,
and there's a monitoring of how that,
and the monitoring is checked right up to the chief minister.
Can I supplement that a bit? You see, the interesting thing about Tamil Nadu is that we have ICDS feeding, we have which is working well. We have the school meal, but you also have destitute feeding, for instance. So there is a program by which about 8 to 10 destitute people in every village come. I mean, that's again something that
in every village
across the state, and I've again monitored that and seen it.
So what happens? Where the destitute go?
There's this. No, they go outside where the ICDS food is served for children.
Which is the integrated child development scheme
for small children. Yeah. You have
which is Anganwadi
centers. In the Anganwadi you have 8-10 old people who also come and they sit quietly outside.
So where the Anganwadi is dispersing food to children and lactating mothers,
at almost no additional cost.
People can also come
and eat. About 8-10 of them. It also becomes like a monitoring system, because the elderly are also seeing what is happening in the Anganwadi. They help out a little bit. It works in so many different ways. They have one nutrition center at the village now, because there's now food being supplied in so many different ways. It's not actually the bureaucracy in India, when it wants to deliver, knows the answers. And Chhattisgarh to me is the best example, because it was also
it's the bureaucracy that started turning around the food distribution system.
Once the will was there,
it was a couple of food secretaries.
Because they knew that the chief minister is checking it. The same thing in Tamil Nadu, the chief minister checks the midday meal monitoring reports, and every day a report is sent. So when you have that kind of a buy-in, it's bound to work.
You have these really bright guys. You know what they did in Chhattisgarh? I'll just give you an example. It sounds almost bizarre actually. What they do is that, you see, the trucks used to pick up the grain from the FCI, go down and then offload it somewhere. So they actually have a GPS system where you watch the truck, and you have people now who sit and they watch the truck's movement.
Wow, so they've got cameras on the trucks which are monitored by a
GPS system. And they watch if it goes off track, if it's stopping somewhere where it's not supposed. Suppose it stops at a private go down, you can watch it happening. They actually do it.
And this includes the monitoring of the midday meals as well, not just the rations.
I think they've done it in other departments also. In Tamil Nadu, they've also done it in health. They're monitoring the mobile medical units using GPS.
SMS alerts is another one. You can volunteer for an SMS alert, and I want to know
for your food in the school.
So
I want to know,
has the food been served today or not? Why was there a delay? Whatever.
Really, in rural schools?
Why not? Mobiles are everywhere.
That's true.
And SMS alerts.
80% connectivity by mobile in this country.
My point is that if there's political will, if there's proper resourcing, there are ways. We have a very sophisticated bureaucracy. We know when we want to deliver, we can deliver. The sad part is that the poor, that's where I started and that's where I really end, is that the poor don't matter in this country, and they're mattering less and less. And if you're poor, then it's almost like you've committed a crime, and like Chhapra is a crime with a death sentence. It's that kind of situation. We really have to have. That's why I am more and more thinking it's really a normative problem. We have to have it has to stir our conscience. What has happened in Chhapra should be a wake-up call for middle class conscience about how we are treating millions of poor children in this country. Let's retain our sense of outrage. Then things will change. We know how to change. Don't get into the details. You don't have to worry. Create the will, create the anger, create the outrage. That's really what I see.
Kiran?
Yeah, I completely agree. And but as Harsh said, that even the government system can deliver if it wants to, and we have enough cases to prove that. So one shouldn't also start getting so despondent about state delivery and then turn towards the private sector, which is so often the case. Immediately just junk is not working, let's try various private options, which actually cannot. I mean, even going back to the earlier point, that if somebody has to deliver a good meal, why don't we sort of give it to them at the scale that we want in our country? It cannot be done by any private sector. And the dispersal, the far off, far flung areas, it's just not physically, financially in any way possible. So there is no alternative to state delivery of public services, midday meal being a primary example of that. And therefore we have to really concentrate all our energies, intellectual and otherwise, in terms of trying to figure out how we can make that work better, and that's where we should be looking at.
Vilas, what do you know, especially about when we want to make this an issue where we hold the outrage and focus on public delivery, then the media has to play a big role, and we never make this a red hot issue. We've got 4 elections coming in. What do you think we can do?
I think we as an electorate, not just as the media, but we as an electorate often forget these things, and I mean,
that's the problem.
Yeah, and there's something that we need to see here. One is the kind of public relations exercises that you see now in the run up to whether it's these 4 elections or the big one next year. And this is, I mean, just yesterday I was having a discussion with a person who's worked for 30 years in Bihar, and he was saying that in India we are still kind of a profit-based economy rather than a need-based one, which is why you see even agriculture has been so subsidized in our eyes, And
so how do we
that
make
is the
this
kind
an
of
issue? How do we make this, the midday
because
meal,
we have
delivery of food to children who need it the most, an issue that our governments have to deliver on?
See, we simply have to show it as an issue that is the one that really matters, that actually is an indicator of the kind of development that we want to see our country in.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's very good to say in your constitution that we are a welfare state, but every person, when we look at the kind of person that we are voting for, it has to be narrowed down to, will this person give me the kind of idealistic development that my constitution espouses?
The problem is that the media, the English speaking or English reading media has opted out of the welfare state in a sense. They've made for themselves all kinds of private provisioning, so they really don't care whether the welfare state functions or not, and which comes back to Harsh's point.
And therefore the good government today is the government which is most friendly with big industry, and that's what's being presented to us. We are saying reclaim the idea that a good government is one which remember the child in Chhapra, and the government that is making sense to that child is the government that we should say is the best.